Hey everyone, and welcome to Rebel City Roundup, where I'll be giving you my take on the premier news and happenings in and around Cork this week. Okay, I admit it, last week's episode was rather heavy, but with so much crap going on in the world, I just couldn't leave it uncommented. This week's video will be much lighter, I promise. Oh, and speaking of videos, I'm publishing new videos like this every Sunday, so if these types of roundups are right up your alley, please do consider subscribing. As you can see on the side of your screen, we've got another full show today, so without further ado, let's get going. Last week, the Cabinet in Dublin finally approved plans for a directly elected mayor for Cork and other major cities in Ireland. The new office will cost the taxpayer around €300,000 a year, of which around 130,000 are earmarked for the mayor's salary. This is pretty much in line with salaries I've seen on the continent, certainly in Germany. More importantly, mechanisms will be put in place to impeach or recall this new directly elected mayor if it becomes necessary. The decision whether to implement this new position of mayor will be put to the people of Cork in a plebiscite in May 2019 that coincides with the local authority election. If approved, the first elections for the new office would take place in 2021. Personally speaking, this is long overdue. Modern cities are far too complex to be run by a bunch of part-time councillors, with the ceremonial Lord Mayor position being bounced from one to the other according to some sort of fixed rotation rather than competence. More importantly, having a directly elected mayor who is accountable to the people of his city simply means a much needed layer of extra direct democracy and a move away from the overly centralized Dublin system we have at the moment. That being said, given the rather limited sense of civic responsibility that I've noticed in significant parts of the population of Cork, it remains to be seen whether this new initiative will actually pass. If my experience over the last 6 years here in the city have taught me one thing, it's that the Leasiders have a huge talent of shooting themselves in the foot. But that's just my take on it. What's your view? Am I being too pessimistic? Be sure to put it in the comment section below. Our next story is shittier than a pair of adult diapers. Literally. Over the last year or so, St. Patrick's Bridge has been painstakingly restored at a price tag of €1.2 million. New lighting was installed, the pavements were completely rebuilt, the entire structure was thoroughly sandblasted and cleaned from 120 or so years of grime. It looks great. Fittingly, it was opened just this past weekend on St. Patrick's Day 2019. The very next day, however, a rather unpleasant discovery was made on the bridge. It turns out that someone had laid an egg, if you get what I mean, on the newly refurbished bridge overnight, and not only that, they'd spread the love all over the railing as well. Naturally, the reaction on social media was furious and swift. Cork County Council agreed to send someone down to take care of this whole situation, but from what I've been able to gather, nothing actually came of that. In fact, from what I've seen, the situation was actually cleared by a radio host. For me personally, this whole incident raises two questions. One, St. Patrick's Bridge is pretty exposed. You can view it from all sorts of different angles. Who the hell would take a dump in such an exposed location? And second of all, why the hell did it take pressure from a private individual to get this bloody bridge cleaned up? If Cork City Council can't even take care of one of their signature structures in the city, then what the hell can they take care of? Personally speaking, as a consequence of this whole incident, heads should roll in the services department of Cork City Council. Or should that be phrased that some people just need to be flushed out? Anyway, did you have the pleasure of seeing that gift in question? What's your take on the whole situation? Do you know who did it? Do you have any suspicions? Be sure to put it in the comment section below. But make sure to only put words down there. I'm not gonna clean up after you. While we're on the subject of childish behavior, we need to talk about LUAS, Dublin's light rail system. The green line of the LUAS, that's a line running roughly in a north-south direction through the city, was recently extended to a place called Broom Bridge. The process finally being linked up with the red line, which runs roughly in an east-west direction. What the hell the thinking was in building those two lines separate without any physical rail link between them is totally beyond me. What this new link means is that LUAS drivers on the Green Line, who would usually return to their regular depot for lunch, will now sometimes have to go to the new depot at the Broom Bridge terminus to have their lunch. A minor issue, you would think. I've been in more than one job where I had to take a packed lunch with me and have it when I had a chance in a lull in the action. However, in the fine tradition of public transport employees here in Ireland, what did LUAS drivers do? They went bawling to their union, who promptly threatened a strike over sandwiches. The whole issue is currently before the Labour Court, and yes, you heard that right. Unions and LUAS operator Transdev are in court because they cannot agree on cooler bags and a €2 a day meal subsidy. Seriously. It's situations like this why I prefer automated, grade-separated transport systems. And the sooner that becomes implemented here in Ireland, the better. Because, honestly, this is pathetic. I was better behaved in my primary school days than those drivers are. But then again, that's just my take. What's your view on the whole thing, on the whole fiasco? Do you think LUAS drivers have gone completely off the rails? Be sure to put it in the comment section below. We're ending this week's video with a bang, or rather a device to deliver such bangs. An auction house in Northern Ireland has come under fire for one of the latest items they've put up for sale. The item in question? A deactivated RPG-7 launcher. Anyone who's ever played any military first-person shooter over the last decade and a half should recognize that designation and that device. Deactivated RPG-7s aren't really that rare, given how many of those things were built in the first place. What makes this one so special and what has caused some ruckus is its history. According to White's auctioneers, this particular launcher was used by the Provisional IRA in the 1990s, probably from 96 to 98, primarily for assaults on British Army posts in Northern Ireland. The launcher, originally manufactured in Bulgaria, was subsequently deactivated in 2013, and a deactivation certificate comes with the weapon. I personally don't understand what all the fuss is about. Granted, I wouldn't hang an RPG-7 onto my wall, but there's certainly enough serious collectors out there that have an interest in this type of weapon. Speaking of it, the weapon is deactivated, which means it cannot be used again. That being said, I can see how some people might be ticked off or offended at the service history of this particular weapon, but then again, I don't see any difference between this and a US soldier, for example, bringing home an AK-74, an AKSU, or one of those special Khyber Pass pistols from Afghanistan. But then again, that's just my take. I've generally had a bit more of a relaxed view on firearms than many other people. What's your view on the whole thing? Would you be interested in such a decoration? Be sure to put it in the comment section below. And that's the way it is this week. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you want to see more of my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the little notification bell to never again miss a video. YouTube is rather peculiar about that. Also, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to click the thumbs up button, and if you have any feedback, questions, commentary, criticism, whatever, be sure to put it in the comment section below. I'm really eager to hear from you. Finally, make sure to check the video description for links to all of the stories I covered, as well as to my social media pages. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys and girls next week.